first chapter of the Bible is probably one of the most familiar, almost to the point that we lull ourselves into complacency or we gird ourselves for two different debates. Since the Bible is not a biological or historical book by today's standards, we don't need to engage in the creationism evolution debate. And since we haven't the slightest idea what period of time one day is, we won't engage in an argument about the literal language of the 7 days of creation. The first chapter of Genesis is instead a wonderful, ancient, and beautiful story of the goodness of creation written by people of faith. Of much more interest is what we learn about God in Genesis and the ramifications for us. First, let's look at God's work of creating. Kate and David and I read my adaptation of the Message paraphrase by Eugene Peterson. But today's New International Version has some wonderfully evocative phrases of the abundant fullness of God as creator. God calls the sky a vault separating the waters. God gathers or pools the seas. The water teems with living creatures. And by the end of the 6th day, the heavens and the earth were completed in all their vast array. And God pronounces it all good. Doesn't creating sound like God having fun? Doesn't this sound like God delighting in the diversity of creating daffodils and daylilies, dogs and dolphins and deer, and of course the dawn? We may question why God created dust mites or dragonflies or the desert or the dark. But it's in the diversity of God's creation that we get hints about God as a wildly imaginative God. Observing creation is one way to know God. But Creator God isn't I'll do it myself kind of God. God invites all creation to join in the delight of ever new creations. Let the earth bring forth. Let the waters bring forth. Let us create humankind. And when we consider the ever-changing nature of creation, glaciers, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, shifting beaches, we realize that creation is going somewhere. Creation isn't a once and forever static kind of thing. Creation is always in the process of becoming. Creation requires some sustaining power and God's presence. So what are the ramifications for us humans in relation to creation? I think we find a job description in the creation story. We can define our job description from various perspectives. An obvious one is that verses 26 and 27 remind us that God gives humans the responsibility of dominion, stewardship, and care for creation. With reverence for the diversity and the complex interrelationships of creation, God calls us to respond to creation by maintaining, replenishing, and restoring the fullness of creation. Sustaining creation is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations of all that is created to meet their needs. The complexity of science and technology are being harnessed toward replenishing and restoring creation's abundance. I give thanks for those who dedicate their lives to science and eco-justice for all the ecosystems of creation. Another aspect of our job description is the invitation that God extends to us to delight in partnering with God in the act of creation. We're created in the image of God, and God calls us good. So, goodness in blessing and protecting creation is a goal of our jobs as humans. To co-create with God is to be energized with hope in anticipation of God's coming reign here on earth as well as into eternity. Creation care is our act of radical hospitality in response to God, who speaks, separates, names all of creation, and invites us to respond with helpful hospitality. God acts, we react. God initiates, we respond. So, let's challenge ourselves to see how much we know about being green, which is the vernacular for creation care. We've had a learning about recycling this morning through our young people's message, but I have a "How green are you?" test. Okay, question number 1. On average, how fast do you drive on the highway? And your choices are 55, 65, or 75 miles an hour. Okay, don't look at me, Forrest. We drive very differently. Fuel efficiency decreases rapidly at speeds above 60 miles per hour. For every 5 miles per hour that you drive over 60, you pay an additional 31 cents a gallon. That's your best argument, Forrest. When your vehicle needs a bath, do you grab the hose and a bucket and do it yourself, or go to a car wash? You're saying car wash? Well, here's your argument. Washing your car at home creates a toxic brew of oil, gasoline, and detergent that enters storm drains and flows directly into rivers, lakes, and streams. Most professional car washes use recycled water and drain their water into a sewer system so the sludge gets treated before re-entering nature. And many car washes also use 60% less water than do-it-yourself jobs. So, to the car wash. What type of driver are you? Aggressive, calm and collected, or somewhere in between? Aggressive acceleration, speeding, and hard braking at traffic lights or stop signs can deflate your highway gas mileage by up to 33%. So, calm down. It's lunchtime and you're craving a fast food burger. Do you order at the drive-thru? Park and head inside to place your order. Idling for 10 seconds or longer burns more gas than restarting the engine, according to the Environmental Defense Fund. Grilling season is almost here. This summer you'll be throwing your burgers and brats onto an electric grill, a charcoal grill, or a gas grill. When in use for 1 hour, a gas grill emits 5.6 pounds of carbon dioxide and charcoal 11 pounds. An electric grill doesn't emit CO2 directly, but accounts for a whopping 15 pounds owing to the production and transmission of electricity. Oh, I'm getting some reactions. You're hosting a cookout and need to stock up on beer. At the store, you fill your cart with cans, bottles, or kegs.
A big party.
Big party. Oh, that's part of the answer. For big bashes, buying a keg and serving beer in reusable cups creates the least waste. Aluminum is the next best choice. It's lightweight and easily recycled. Thank you, Donna. Landing back on shelves in 60 days or less. Glass, while also recyclable, is heavier, which means more fuel is needed to transport it. Who knew? Okay, you've had enough burgers and barbecue. It's time for a healthy dinner, salmon. At the fish counter, you choose a shark, Atlantic salmon, wild caught from Washington, Oregon, or California, or neither. You skip the fish counter and buy canned salmon. Canned salmon comes mainly from wild Alaskan waters. Many salmon from other U.S. states are considered endangered or threatened. And Atlantic usually means farmed, a process that critics assert uses chemicals and unsustainable fishing practices. So be careful who you invite over if you're going to serve salmon. Now let's head over to the produce section. With fruits and vegetables, you look for this label: organic, locally grown. I don't look at labels. Researchers have found that the average meal can travel 1,500 miles to reach your table. You can cut down on emissions by buying local produce, which is usually organic or grown with sustainable farming practices. Your spouse cooked dinner, yes, so you're on dish duty. Do you wash everything by hand? Rinse off bits of food, then load the dishwasher. Put dirty dishes straight into the dishwasher. Running a fully loaded dishwasher may use half the energy and 1/6 less water than doing dishes by hand. Reports found that pre-rinsing, I'm learning, Forrest, can waste up to 6,000 gallons of water per household each year. I'm a pre-rinser, but I stopped this week. After mowing the lawn, what do you do with the clippings? Leave them in the yard, bag them, and put them out by the curb? Every year, Americans produce millions of tons of leaf and grass clippings. Some end up in landfills. In most cases, leaving the grass on your lawn is not just greener as the clippings decompose, they actually make the soil healthier. When a light bulb in your house burns out, you replace it with an incandescent light bulb, a compact fluorescent light bulb, or a light-emitting diode bulb by the curb. Oh. Yeah, a little typo there. Okay. Super efficient LED bulbs are expensive. You can end up paying over $20 a pop, but they last 3 times longer than CFLs and more than 10 times longer than incandescent bulbs. And our last question. You're cleaning out the medicine cabinet and find a bunch of expired medications. Do you flush them down the toilet, toss them in the garbage but recycle the container, or return them to the pharmacy? Yesterday, I hope that you took advantage of the fact that we had National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day here in Topeka. Flushing pills can send them into waterways. Recycling the container is a good move, but it's best to return medications to your pharmacist who will dispose of them properly. So how green are y'all? Pretty good? Yeah? Yeah. Last week, we looked at Jeremiah 29 and God's wisdom that we will thrive only as our community thrives. And in our young people's message, we reviewed all the ways we recycle here at Trinity. But we have some other specific challenges here at Trinity, challenges for creation care here in our own backyard. So now it's your turn. What are some of the efforts that we make here at Trinity to save energy and practice creation care in addition to the recycling?
Turn out lights.
Turn out lights. Actually, y'all don't do that very well. Kate and I go around the church, and Becky Crowell is very good at this. Y'all don't turn out lights. So thank you, Jane. Please turn out lights when you're the last one out of a room. When you leave, they will stay on maybe 24 hours until somebody comes back in. Pat?
I remember the kids made a little thing to put on their lights at home to help them remember to turn out the light. So if you don't put it on the light switch, you can put it on the refrigerator.
Okay, for all the light switches, your kids should be bringing home decorated light switch covers to remind you of this. Good, that was a perfect activity today. Lunell, did you have something? Yes. And why did we switch from styrofoam to coffee cups, porcelain coffee cups? Barb?
Because we don't have a new washer and sanitizer that does it in 9 seconds.
Yes. Our new dishwasher enables us to wash now instead of all the old styrofoam. What else? Yeah, June.
Turn open the refrigerator and leave the door open, deciding what it is you want to get out.
Yeah. Don't leave the refrigerator door open. Sorry, Forrest, I didn't give you a heads up on video. What else do we do? Yes, Tamara.
Either lower or raise the thermostat depending on it.
Yeah. We have a couple of thermostats that we can program, but most of our thermostats we have to remember to turn off ourselves. So like the lights, when you leave a room, check the thermostat. And the staff now has a guide that tells us what thermostats do what room, so we can help you there. That was tremendous help. What else do we do?
Magic lights,
What?
magic lights,
We have a magic light, as Pat calls it, in the hall where we recycle, and it goes off and just goes on when you enter, and it'll turn itself off. Yeah, Deborah.
minimize paper use. That's what bulletins and shorter announcements.
Yeah, we had a big campaign. Let me remind you, if you don't need a bulletin, because everything you need, unless you have a role in worship, everything you need will be on the screens. And if you don't use bulletins, then we print less bulletins. So it's less paper, less printing costs, less toner, and so on. So don't use bulletins if you can adjust to that. Yes, Anne.
Internet messages, email messages that are
Yes. The more of y'all that learn how to email, the less we have to put postage on, because we are a church that emails. And you can get all your information about church by email if you have a computer and if you went to Carmen's classes and learned how to email. Somebody else? All of our newsletters are online. Everything that we deliver is either on the website or is emailed to you. Anything else? What about light bulbs in the church? Mr. Property? Okay, Forrest, somebody tell us about our light bulbs.
Compact fluorescence wherever we can.
We have compact fluorescence wherever we can. Anything else?
All these lights.
These lights in here. What? Oh, yes.
In our remodeling of our building, we put the light switches on banks, so you don't have to turn on all
Yes.
the lights in certain rooms if
Yes.
you don't have to.
Yeah, especially in Fellowship Hall and downstairs in the junior and senior high room, we have lights selectively on banks, so you only need to turn on the lights that you need. Thank you. Anything else?
Shelley up here.
Oh, good. Thank you, Lee. What?
Forrest would know this. Compact fluorescent lights, do they actually give off less heat than regular incandescent bulbs?
Do they give off less heat? Yes, they do. Okay, good. For those of us who wear robes. Anything else that I've forgotten? I'm checking my notes. Oh, y'all did pretty good. Anything else? Creation care is more complex and much deeper and broader than one sermon can cover. We want to beware of complacency by patting ourselves on the back too vigorously. But as the church, our job description for creation care is built into our goodness as created in God's image. As Christ followers, we're called as individuals to carry these creation challenges to our homes, schools, and workplaces. As citizens, we're called to educate ourselves and challenge institutions toward more and more creation care. Our seeds of radically hospitable creation care will bloom mightily if we water these seeds with a community of love. Our seeds of care will bear fruit as we partner with others made in God's image and partner with God in replenishing and restoring the goodness and beauty of all creation. Thanks be to God for all the opportunities to practice radically hospitable creation care. Amen.